In part 2 of the tutorial, we lay down our fur texture using coloured pencils. So we're coming back to our wolf. Ink was laid down yesterday, dried overnight. It's actually stayed more vivid than I thought. It hasn't bled anymore. I love the way, remember how bright it was in that update photo where it was all pretty much blue and purple, and then by dropping in that white acrylic ink it just creates those brows. See, it hasn't come out complete. I'm sure I could go in again now with the white ink and really vivid this up a bit. But so we're going to do some of this with pencils. One thing I want to do just before I get going on the pencil work is pop in a little touch. Remember yesterday I avoided doing much around the nose. I didn't want that, but it started to bleed as soon as I put something in there. So I'm just going to come in here with the black ink. I just want to create some of that shape to the nose using the ink. Just referring, it's quite blue across the top of the nose, so I'm just going to just pop in a tiny bit so we've got some real instant depth of shadow, especially in, oops, I've got something caught on there. Especially here across the front. And in the nostril itself. And we can do the rest with our pencils. I just wanted to get some of that depth, that shadow in there, and the ink is so deep that why not use that to our advantage. So I'm just going to dunk in the water a little bit because it's not flowing very well. That's better. Just going to pretty much black out the whole of the front, that nose area. Then we can go in over the top. Use our pencils to create some of the highlights. I'll thin down a tiny bit more, and then we'll just smear some of that across. There we go. I really don't want this to start bleeding outwards, so there we go. So at least he's got sort of a nose now. There's something there. It's looking a bit strange, so I need to just be careful and allow that to dry. So whilst that is drying, what I'm going to do is get our test sheet back again. You see here, this down here, I've just done a little video on Inktense. So that is sort of the results of whether Inktense will work as an alternative to using inks. So yesterday, the inks that we used were the Cobalts, going from memory here, orange, purple and violet. So we used the purple last time. I'm going to use polychromos. So let me just see. I think, no, it wasn't mauve that I used. I do remember it not being mauve. Was it blue violet? Or was it more of a, no, it was more of a pink, wasn't it? I'll just go through my pencils. Here we go. So it's going to be one of these. I've got a feeling. Crimson. Let's try and avoid that nose there. I'm feeling it's crimson. Yep, so we're going to go for that crimson. and that'll take the place of the purple. So now we needed the violet, which is that deep purpley blue. So this is actually mauve that I have picked up now, so let's just try that. Yep, so we'll use mauve for the violet ink. So now we need an orange. Now, which orange got here? That is going to be the light cadmium red. Let's just try that. That looks pretty good. Let me just check though against the dark cadmium orange in case that is a better match. I'm going to go for. So this has come out. I'm going to go for the cadmium red one. So that's the light cadmium red. I'll keep the other one, that cadmium orange, just off to one side. So we just need a cobalt now. So back to our blues. Now then, cobalt. I'm grabbing first of all the cobalt. Oh, cobalt blue greenish. See, look, that's bleeding out. I'm just going to go in there, keeping an eye on it. I'm going to go in and just. This is the thing with using pastel mat as well. Once you wet it, if you decide to go in there again and wet it again, it can do this bleeding out. That's why I'm glad I'm sat here for this. It would have been far worse yesterday if we'd have done this. It would have just gone everywhere. So I'm just going to lift that off and that should stop any more bleeding. Thankfully we need a dark area down underneath that mouth anyway. So just... that should hopefully stop any more of that bleed. There we go. So blue, back to the cobalt. So we've got this, let's try this one. It's okay, it all matches the actual blue. So that's the cobalt blue greenish. Let me just have a look in here. It's the actual cobalt blue itself. See what we've got. So that's the cobalt, and this is the cobalt blue greenish. It's not a huge amount in it. I'll go for the cobalt. Don't think there was another one really that's gonna match very well. What was that one? No, phthalo blue, the others are more turquoise. Helio blue reddish is going to match the ultramarine more. Yeah, it's darker. Okay, so for that blue then we'll go for the cobalt blue to match the cobalt. So then I'll need a black and a white that I'll pull in as well. Just need to sharpen a couple of these up a little bit. And with this as well, because I'd like to work it less. I felt with the cat that perhaps I overworked it a little bit. I'm really happy with the result because at the end of the day it did come in pretty much close to the finish of Sherlock, which is what we were matching it up to. But I'd like to try and work this one a little bit less if possible. I'm just going to grab my black as well. That's sharpened up already. So these are the pencils. So we've got the four colours that we've used. I've got the white, which again I've picked up my Pablo white just because it's a more intense white, and our black. So let's zoom out. Now I've got the reference photo here as well. I think that's It's pretty much dried, that nose area now. We'll go in and work the nose. I'm going to go in and just touch up around the eyes first of all. I might work out from the eyes and just give it a little bit of detail. I don't know how much detail I want to give it, or maybe I'll just pull the muzzle forward. I normally work the muzzle last. I work from the back forwards, but with this maybe I'll work on the forward part and just then leave the ears and everything as ink rather than working all. I've got a feeling I'll probably end up working all of this detail with the pencil still anyway. Or maybe as a demo I should just do half of the picture and then you can compare the difference between the ink side and the pencil side. I am going to need a slightly different brush. I'm going to need the same ones we use on the eyes. I'm going to need the Prussian blue to go in here over the top of where this ink is as well. Just to give that a lovely blue. It's probably too wet in there at the moment. I'll just press a little bit in there. That's gone okay actually. A little touch in down here. And so we'll go in with our white as well, just to give that nose a bit of shape. In fact, I'm going to do it now whilst we're talking about it. Let me just zoom in that nose a little bit. It seems to be taking the pencil. It needs to dry out a little bit more anyway, and then it will come out really vivid. There we go. Yeah, we'll wait for that to dry completely now, but that should help. Just to sharpen up that nose edge. That needs to come up there a little bit anyway. It needs to be the same angle, the opposite side. Quite liking this actually because the ink is still a little bit damp, so I'm able to just push it around a little bit there, sink it into that pastel mat. So we'll just do this whilst it's working with me, but then we'll come back and finish it when it's dry, because there is a risk if you work pastel mat whilst it is a little bit damp, you can crush that tooth because it's a little bit spongier than what it normally is. So there we go. But at least it's got a hint of a nose in there now, it just needs all these highlights. So let's zoom out a tiny bit. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to just focus on this muzzle area and possibly the eyebrows, and just see whether we can get some fur movement and to propel this forward. So I'm going to pop the reference image literally right up next to me as I'm working. I might even just fold it so I can get it even closer. See, I'm not working from my tablet, I'm not going super detailed, so I'm just a basic copy of the reference image is going to be enough for me. So I'm just going to use black and white to start with, and then I'll pull in some of the colours. Okay, so let's get back in. Got a nose there. And we'll come down the centre here. This is called the philtrum, this line. You get it on all dogs. It's like a split that runs up. Almost, it comes up the lip a tiny bit there, and then it runs up the front of the nose. And you get that on most, well, all canines. So as soon as you start putting pencil down, you start to see the grain of the tooth of the paper, which it then ruins the beautiful, lovely ink work that we did. It takes away that lovely inky feel, which is what I'm just concerned about doing. Just also grabbing a piece of my glassine paper. So I'm going to put a little hint here of where the side that muzzle is. See how loose I'm holding the pencil? And then around. So I put my dark marks in first, and then what I'll do, I go over the top with my white, and that softens them down. So it doesn't matter if these go down a tiny bit too heavy. They'll soften as soon as we go in with the white over the top. Making sure the table's not touching that camera arm. No, it's not. Okay, so this comes around here. Make sure I've got it just coming down. There. That's the side of the muzzle itself, and then because he's got his head down, imagine if we've got like a, if we do that, I know especially as I'm getting older, creates a bit of a double chin, so that is almost like a second not layer or ripple, I'm just trying to think, a fold, and you know, like an extra, where he's just pressed down to the muzzle, so he's just got a little bit extra sticking out at the side. So now up around here, just comes around like that as well. Again, check your angles, use your pencil. So if I use the pencil here, see that line there? I'm going to lay it down there. Make sure it's the same angle on your drawing. Same with distance, you can check your distance between each area. And again here, just make sure you've got these lines at the same, I was going to say at the right angles, but I don't want to confuse you with making you think it's a right angle, at the correct angles to reflect what you're seeing in your reference photo. So now I'm going to go in with my white, just going to work over some of this area, and you'll instantly see what I mean about when I go over those bits of black pencil I've put down, I can instantly soften them. I'll zoom in a tiny bit. Okay, so you should be able to see here. So I just take that edge, slow it down. So all I'm doing is away, lift, away, lift, away, lift, going in the direction of the fur as I can see it. If I go over that black line that I popped down, it will just soften it. And like I say, I don't normally work. The muzzle is usually the last area that I work on. But I want to see how much of an effect we can create just by adding, initially, texture into this central area. So here, just look at the angle. And also think about the length of the fur here and try to match your pencil strokes to that. I'm putting lots of layers over this. I'm pretty much going to saturate it because I want it all to be pretty much white. I don't really want any other texture in there because in the reference photo, you can see, right, so it's just a white haze there. So that is what I'm going to do. plus I want to fill that tooth. I don't want that graininess showing through. So I am lifting off with every stroke, so there, lift, 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 lift. Just doing it rather quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to come into this next area, and if you see on the reference, again, there's not really much hint there of that muzzle. But on the ink, we have got quite a hint of it, which I really like, but we're going to soften that back as well to kind of match that reference. So leave a tiny hint of it, but we're going to work over it. Now that line actually starts about here, so we can soften all the way up to here. And also we'll work down from the eyes. So this line here comes up from the nose, so it's bled out. That black earlier didn't help us, it has bled out, so I might need that area to dry a bit more before I'm going to get this white going over the top. Not too bad. I'll just get the outline of that nose nice and sharp. I should have popped his nose in properly and scanned him as an ink drawing. And then if I was happier with the ink drawing at the end, I could have made that one into prints. So that's just a thought, because I am a little sad that I'm losing all of these lovely ink bleeds as I'm working it already. It's amazing this, like I say, this is all, with each one of these that I do, it's all a little bit new to me, and I'm really wanting to loosen up in some of my work, even though obviously the people that follow me for my detail work aren't quite as impressed with me working in this style, but I need to do this. One, obviously I'm showing you guys, but this is like therapy for me. It means I don't have to worry too much about the detail. I want to loosen up. I don't think you can ever evolve completely. You can perfect your work, but I don't think you can evolve as a creative unless you're trying new things and pushing new boundaries. I think, yeah, let's say you can become a perfectionist in a technique that you use all the time, but for me personally, I need to keep moving forwards and trying new things, and this is a way of doing that. And then I might take some of what I learn from this forward into new works. Now you can see here how much that has pulled that forward compared to here on the right hand side. So I'm just come in here, just going to mark in a little hint, some of that fur detail there on the muzzle. Let's come up around this side. start to map this side in a similar way. And also here, this is annoying me a little bit, I want to just get in bottom lip. I need to go in here with dark pencil as well. And also the chin. So at the moment his chin is kind of lost there. I'll go in there with the black as well, and we'll soften it back down, but I just needed to get that in there. Okay, so if we come over here now, we'll repeat what we did on this side. Taking it out over that black line that we popped in earlier. Using pretty decent amount of pressure here, so I literally want to take it up to white. Now softening the next layer forward. Starting to dry out over the top there, so I can go in, just sort out that nose a little bit. Bleed that was there this morning as well, just soften that back. Lovely. We can go in with our colour pencils here as well. Fab. So I'm going to take this up here now as well. Let's get that angle in there of that nose. I don't want to take it too narrow. It should really come up pretty much to here, but I'm going to be careful. I don't want to take it up too far. I'll bring it up to match this side first of all, and then we'll decide how far up we're going to take this detail and texture, because in the actual nose itself we've got fur texture to go in, so it depends just how much texture we decide to put in there. So I'm keeping my pencil down now, back and forth, just going up here. I'm just literally colouring in that area, lifting it up pretty much to white. So now I need to come over to here and just start to match up with this jowl area here as well. So I work with a soft pressure and then I build it. I think next what we're going to do is go up to the eyes, work the white of the eyes, and then we'll come back in with our colours and add texture and in around here. But at least I want to get all of this white chunk done, just that white of the eyes and this here. And that is pretty much forward facing, the most forward part of the face itself. Remember, your fur will change direction here as well. At the front of the nose it's going up, here it's coming down over the cheek, and here it's coming out of the muzzle. So just be aware, because that is what's going to create as well your 3D form. So we're going to come up here, we're going to see this is coming way too far, but I do like it. I'm not sure if I want to even remove. This is the trouble, you see, it's like how much of the ink do we leave and how much of the fur do we add. The more we push it, the more we will have to complete it. But if you see here, see how far that bleed has come in? You can compare it to the actual wolf itself. This should be coming up here and then come up from the nostril. So lay a pencil down the inside edge of that brow, cuts pretty much halfway through that nostril, so that brow should be there. It should be coming in there, but see how much that has bled in. Now, do we leave that or do we take it back? If we take it back, we're going to have to work this whole area. I think we're going to have to take it back, because otherwise it is going to be now I've looked at it, it is completely odd. It's a shame, because we're going to lose some of this, but I'm going to do it with, we'll go in with our white first, like say, and lift up the brow first, work around the eyes, and work outwards from the eyes and down from the cheek. That is the best way to do it. So let's just go into the eyes first of all and make sure we're happy with, we haven't lost anything there. So this is coming out almost to a point. Just tidy that up a tiny bit. Comes down here. There we go. Up around here. And out into that point. That's fine. So, that point over here as well is going to sweep down into that shadow there. Once we commit to stepping over the edge and going into more detail, that's it, we're going to have to go for it. So, that point just needs to come down a tiny bit more. Well, I'm going to go in here now and I'm going to commit to just doing all of this fur down away from the eye and down over this cheek. We'll pull some blue down from the eye into that cheek again as well. So strokes are like this, down, lift, down, lift. But I'm just going fast. You can see here that this line coming up here, remember I said I stopped it short, it needs to come up further and it's slightly wider. It's just I didn't want to, at the time as I was coming up here, I didn't want to cut into that area until we changed direction with the pencil and started working upwards. So now we're here meeting up with this area. So look at your eye. Pull the eye reference over. So this is where the eye is on this side. Look at your angle here, see that curves around there? So I need to start curving my lines around that way, up here, constantly backwards and forwards, and then let's say you'll come up to vertical as you work your way in there, but then you'll come around pretty much, you're doing almost like a horizontal curve here, very small arc. Small but long arc, but it's changing directions the whole time. Let's come in here. We need to just pop in some of this shadow that's in here in the top of that lid. So I'm pushing back into that highlight. This is what I mean by that push and pull that I talk about sometimes. So you push it into, and you can pull it, you'll pull that highlight into the shadow, but then you can push the shadow back up into the highlight area. That's what I mean when I talk about the push and pull with your strokes. I'm going to use some of our colour now as well. Bring some of that mauve. I'll use some of that lovely blue as well. Black adds the tonal value, but obviously we want the colour to be doing some of the work as well. So just look for where you've got those colours underneath. So we've got more blue here. So use your blue, push that blue back up. Some more of a bluey hint to that shadow there. Now go in over here with your white again, just to soften that up. get that idea though. And that is working quite nicely now. I am liking the texture. I know I'm losing the beautiful bleed, but I am liking that texture that is building up, so we're gonna go for it. But this is what art is about. It's, especially something like this, you feel your way. I even do it on my normal portraits. I'll say that, you know, I'll start off quite tentatively, I'll feel my way, I've got an idea in my head, I've always got a vision in my head of how a piece is going to finish. It's just how do I get there. Now with this I've got a couple of visions in my head of how it was going to finish, but using those inks kind of distracted me a little bit and showed me other possibilities, and that is the whole thing. Be open to possibilities and even mistakes. Be open to those mistakes, because a mistake is just a different way that the picture has evolved. So embrace them sometimes and go, oh, well, it's done this. It's not quite what I was expecting, but it doesn't mean it's a disaster. It just means it's showing me something, you know, slightly different to what I planned. So what are the positives that I can use from those results? How can I embrace them? How can I take them forward? I'm not really mistakes. There's lots of blue in here, but now I need to come in here. I'll go in with the black first of all. So just get this angle right. So that's the angle of the white. I need to just there. Just needed to bring that across a tiny bit. That's fine. Now I need to cut into here then. I'll just draw that outline there. And then just take it back out. See here it's really dark. Just take some of that back out using my black. A few little layers there. And we'll come in over the top with our mauve and our blue. So we're just correcting the placement of those original lines. Now you see here how much this has bled across. This over here is going to come back to about here and then up and around. Well, let's work this one side first of all. Some of the blue. See the difference between the two sides already. So it's going to have texture across here. Just going to open this up. I just want to extend this part here. I'm going to sharpen up my whites. This is eating through my white pencil actually. So now this is coming down here. Okay, sort of push some of this purple mauve back up. Sort of comes up. I have to pull our reference over. See here from the side of the eye, kind of this chunk here. It's almost like a V. So we come up here from the eye. It's sort of like a triangle here. I know we're not being exact, but we kind of just want to, this is the contours, it's these shapes and shadows and lines that do form or create the form of that wolf underneath. There's too much highlight that's come in here now from the white. I know yesterday I put lots of the white down because it didn't look like it was taking enough. So that's a lesson for next time, that don't put quite as much down. Trust that it is taking. So we're working this pretty much like normal fur now with our pencils. We want to smooth it out, so again that push and pull of the colours. A little bit of tonal value with the black. Okay, so I'm going to cut into all of this now. We're going to break the whole lot up into texture. Kind of decided. Still going to work it quite quickly, but that has made the decision working over this side. It's going to take more pencil work. We're going to lose some of that ink. I've accepted that. And that's the way we're going to take it. But again, like with you guys doing this, you take yours as far as you want to. Or rather stop when you want to. I just made that decision there. Okay, so I'm coming up the centre there. That's my centre point there. So, into this now with those lovely, pull some of those lovely colours back through. Even though you can't see the colours in your reference drawing, look for them in the your underpainting. And if you lose them, pull them back in. The beautiful blues there. Some blues coming out into here, because we still need to see the grain. See how grainy that is? We need to lose all that now. There's no different with the inks. In fact, it's probably thinner than if we'd put down a layer of watercolour pencils underneath. We need to come back in and cut through them all. Sorry, build the pigment for it to start smoothing out. So it's going to take a few layers of the pigment, but just keep, like I say, keep working quite fast. If you've done the cat or the Sherlock version of this, just keep moving nice and fast. Maybe we'll leave some of this bleed down the bottom and some of the ears free, or just ink. So we have got some areas of that bleed still. I'm reluctant to let it all go. Okay, so now I'm going to come up. So this lovely, you can see we've lost this highlight area here. So I'm going to get this in, and then we'll push and pull here. Just keep an eye again on fur direction, fur length. Hoping I've got enough Pablo white pencils to do all of this. Okay, so let me just break through some of this. Sharpen up, add some more pressure as well in here. I'm guessing we did a test to see if the ink tints would work to create that same bleed effect. I'm just wondering whether you could use the ink tints here for your top layers and then add a tiny little bit more water if you wanted to. Or even, I guess, you could use your Albrecht watercolour pencils as well. Might give a similar effect. So I'm just breaking up. We're going to repeat the process by going in here in a bit. I just want to break it all up. Break up this big chunk here as well. Again, watch the direction. It's pretty much horizontal. Some of those lines coming across here, out from the cheek. Starting to get a nice feel to the flow of the fur here now. And just literally all I'm doing is just rotating between my colours just to pop the colour back in as well. So I'm going to need to break all of this up in a second with my white. Now that is just up from across and up from the nose. So again, I'm still checking my placements. I'm pulling that down, and I'm already also pushing it back up. Okay, time to sharpen the white again. I'm just checking my box to make sure I've got more whites. I can see at least one there. And I must have some more new ones somewhere, I would have thought. But we should have enough to get us through the portrait. Okay, so up here, oops, that just snapped the end off. Push that white once again into that dark area there. Pull some texture out, but then we're going to push some of this up into. That will work this again as well. But at the moment I'm just going to come around here. I'm not going to go out over this edge. I'm going to see if I can leave the bleed edge there for now. I know we worked it on the cat. I also worked it on Sherlock and I softened it and flicked fur out. But for now I'm just going to leave that edge and see if we can just work around it. So here, this is all the white mane fur coming down here. So I'm just taking it close to the edge, but not quite. Keep an eye on the length and the direction. Push it back up into that shadow. And pull it down and away. So pulling down and away, so down and away, and up. Push and pull. Okay, so that's brought us around to this area here. I'm just doing this chunk. This line reference up there so I can just see. So I'm going to come into this area here now, this area here. Pulls down into that chunk. Need to pull more white around here. Try and do it slower and then I won't make the table wobble. It's not the camera wobbling, it's the table. The faster I work, it's getting a bit of a wiggle on. So this would be a shame to lose this little bleed area on this side. But it does come out into this wonderful cheek fur. So look at the direction here as well. Some of this comes around here and down. And we'll go into our purples and push on the blues and we'll push it back up into this. But then up here, some of this comes out and around. And then this is another big white solid chunk again in a bit. Just carry on with this bit here first, but this comes down and up, so down and up, down and up, down and up. And then this comes more across. And here I'm just pushing all of this up. Keep turning your pencil. One, it helps keep it a little bit sharper for longer, but also it means you've got nice clean pigment, although you're not picking up really anything from the inks. But you might pick something up from the other pencils that you're now using, putting down. Okay, so we're coming up to here now. We're going to just start, eye on that fur direction. We need to pull this white area out a little bit. And then sweep down. Like I say, we'll go in with our purples in a second and we will push and pull out. Just want to get this nice white shape pretty much there in that cheek. So it's not going to be exact. Be pretty close. So that's that white chunk there. As you can see, this here sort of comes up here. If I lift this away in a minute, you should see a real difference between this side and the other side now. We haven't worked at all. So we'll take our blue first of all. I'll just push little touches up there, pop in some more blue just here. Push some up. Now here, see that little, it's coming in just above the nose, we should be coming in about here. I'll just come in with the blue, and then we'll come in with the mauve. That's sort of brought that cheek back in now. So let's grab the mauve. This has come down lower than it is on the reference, but I'm okay with that, to be honest. Teeny touch of black in there, not much. I'm just pushing that shadow up into there. Okay, white again. Soften, see where I put that black in? Again, I'm just softening it. Time. It's still looking really grainy up here, but I know I need to relax, and this isn't like we're doing a normal portrait. can't be worried too much about the grain like we're doing super smooth fur, because we're not. So let's just do this little bit and see where we are in relation to the bigger picture. So let's pull some more of this up. And then some of this out and down. And I know I'm staying quiet because you know what I'm doing, you're just hopefully just following the video. I'm just concentrating a little bit, flicking my eyes backwards and forwards to the reference. I pull some blue back into here. So push up into that white that side and pull it down here. There we go. I think, so let's lift that away. And that's the difference. We've got the fur texture on this side and the wolf bleed on the other side. I still love that bleed. But maybe, like I say, we can leave some of this around here. We'll come down here and possibly do this centre part of the mane. But then we'll leave this lower part. Hopefully that will work quite nicely. But I need to come up here, like I say. Let me just sharpen up once more with our whites, and then we'll just pause it for a second. Okay, so I'll just fold that reference over, pull it up alongside. I'm just going to add some texture. Coming up the nose. So we still want lots of that lovely colour coming through, even though there's probably more coming through than it would be on the reference anyway. I need a little touch of, okay, so we've got a lot of bluiness on this nose. pigmentation of blue just there. Little flicks of blue, let's have a look. Just use this one. I've got two white pencils in my hand. This one's quite blunt. I want a nice blunt edge just to do a little bit of scumbling. So scumbling, remember, is where you keep your pencil on the paper, small circular motion. Just going to scumble over most of that area there. Just soften up some of that ink. That's where we're heading up to. But we'll do up here using the sharper pencil to create a stubbly fur texture line. I'm just using this lightly just to soften some of that ink a little bit more. Same here over the nose. Scumble. I'm going to use a tiny touch of white ink on there later on. Just because I really need a really nice bright highlight there. Okay, so we're going to come up here now and start to texture a little bit. Texturize. So little short stroke, press, lift, and lift. Just doing it exactly that, but just a lot faster. Press, lift, press, lift, press, lift, press, lift, and as I push away as I lift. So constantly keeping an eye on that fur direction, length, texture. before we can work that anymore, we need to put in that dark shadow the same as we did on this side. So I'm just going to come up through here. Pop in, just sharpen my blue and my purpley colour. Okay, so coming up here, light pressure. Just going to work this one side. And that deferred action, remember, it's going to be pretty much horizontal when we get up to this centre point. So let's just, we brought this up around here. It needs to come all the way up. Press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. It's just a little flick. Come through here with my blue. Break this up a teeny tiny little bit. So again, push and pull. Really grainy there, which kind of suits the texture of the wolf, but we'll just work over it once more. So just pull some of our purple up into those highlights. We need more blue there, so where you see purple, pull purple down, and see here as well, I'm just going to cut into there from the ear as well. And then you flick the white back into the purple. We needed some blue here. So with each layer it just smooths out that tooth, makes it look more like fur. This should help you anyway with creation of fur in the normal portrait tutorials. It's doing exactly the same. Okay, the colours are a bit weird, but it's exactly the same theory. So let's just a little bit more pressure. Whoop. And a little bit more pressure means I've just lost the end. Every time I sharpen up and I do that, I lose the end of my pencil. So a few more little flicks of white. I'll just pull some more of that colour coming up the centre. A few little bits of shadow. We'll put these back in once we've got this shape in place over on this side. Sort of a stippling motion there, I'm just sort of stabbing and lifting just to create a tiny bit of different texture. Here's one I just do a tiny bit more. And just pull the blues and the purple into there again. And if I lift that away now, you can see completely the difference between both sides. Tell you what was missing, which I really liked. See that lovely orange that was there? There was a real hint of that over here, and I know it's gone now, but I'm just going to just add a tiny touch to that backing, because I did love that little bit of orange in there. I think we might be doing more of that close to the end. We might add in little touches where we've lost some of the colour, because that is beautiful on that side. I'm a bit annoyed now that I've even worked that little bit of the muzzle, because I wish now I'd just done this whole side for you and then you could have done the comparison. I might even, I'm still tempted to leave the ears rather than work the ear fur. Let's have a look. I like all of this. I quite like that bleed you see up there. Unless we literally just do a little bit of the white fur there, flicking, and then pull that purple, but we'll lose the bleed again. Let's see, okay, so I'm going to the next thing I'm going to do is just come down here, and I'm going to work this area around here. So I want some of the orange colour. I pull some of this orange colour down here. Pull some of that away. Pop in some more of this lovely blues and purple. Now once I've done this, what I'll do is I'll work the other side, and I'll speed it up for you on that side, because we're just going to be repeating what we did over here. And then we'll make a decision on those ears. But as it stands, I think we might not be touching them. And that'll be then a lovely balance of the ink. Now what's going on here? That's that white cheek coming around here. sort of there like that. Let's pop that shadow in. We use our mauve, we'll probably put a touch of black in there and then soften it with our white again. So I'll start off by pushing that mauve up into the white there before I've even put the white in. I'm going to pull some of it down. So I don't think this is going to match exactly, because remember this point here was slightly lower, which I was absolutely fine about, but we'll put it in quite close. And then we're going to leave all of this bleed down here, so we'll get this white, all we're going to do is this white V down here, and let the rest bleed. Again, like I say, you can do this as much or as little as you like. You might all have finished already and decided not to take it this far anyway. It's all about play. It's all about personal taste. It's all about relaxing. It's such a brilliant thing to do away from, as a break from your full-on detailed big portrait. So like if you've just done that fluffy cat tutorial, then this is a lovely break, a lovely play session. But you still come out with a lovely portrait, fun. You feel under a little bit of pressure if it's quite new to you. I mean, but again, even with me, this is, I'm having to make decisions I wouldn't normally need to make with a piece, because I'm having to sort of plan ahead of like, well, maybe I'll do that, and then sort of just leave it at that point, which I don't normally need to do. So I don't want any black down here. I do, I want a little touch of black around here just to darken up, really intensify that shadow there. I'm glazing it and mixing it with that mauve, or mauve, I think is how you pronounce it in America. I'm sure that's how I had to pronounce it when I was out there, because you all sort of stared at me when I said the word mauve. And someone then said, do you mean mauve? So, mauve if you're in the UK, and mauve if you're in the US. Our pencil colour name. So I'm going to use the big fat wide one here just to cover some of this area quite quickly. And again, you'll see this. Now this is where we need to just pull that white down a tiny bit. So I'm using pressure just to get rid of that line a little bit. Okay, so that's, I need to bring in that shadow there. It's all touch of black in there. Okay, back to our chunky white. Soften all of that, and then we can go back in and add a touch more shadow. Just want to fill it with some pigment first of all. Remember, we're keeping this area quite symmetrical down here. We've changed it to the reference photo just a little bit. So that each side sort of flicks out to mirror each other. Let's flick over now to the sharper pencil. And this is not going to match the reference photo hardly at all, because I don't want to work this. I'm just making a real nice feature almost of this top main. So it'll be quite close, but not exact. So let's So we're going to do quite a bit of that push and pull here. So flick a little bit more down in there. And then we're going to push up. And then with our blue. Go in here and we're going to pull away under that chin, and also we want to go in here with our blue. Get that lower lip in as well. Soften that. I think I'll go over it with a tiny touch of black as well, and then we'll go over it with the blue again. It's a much nicer shape around there now. See, so when you're working on pastel matte, even with this white, I mean, I find the white, the lighter shades seem to have less tooth. You see how many layers I'm putting down on here, and I'm still hardly using any pressure. Deaden that a little bit. Still really grainy in here, so we'll go over it once more with the white and then pop in any more colour if we want to just add a bit more if we lose it. But it's still keeping it nice and sketchy. We're not going too detailed, we're not being finicky, too realistic. Okay, so I'm going to push some of this up over that shadow now. There. Okay, so let me zoom out. That is where we are up to. I quite like it actually. I quite like the opposite effect almost. I am tempted just to go up and do that ear and then pretty much leave that side. But I know I'm not going to. I know I'm going to go up and work it the same. So I'm going to speed up because I'm going to just literally repeat this side the same as over here, and then we'll come back and decide what we're going to do with the ears.
And that brings us pretty much to the end of the creation of this piece. I left it overnight after finishing doing the face and the main area, and I wanted to leave the ears as they were. If I went in and started working them, I just had this feeling I was going to turn it into a completely normal piece, and I was going to lose all of the bleed of the wonderful ink effect. And I love it as it is. So you take yours as far or less far than I have, or even further. It's a personal choice. So thank you very much for watching. I'll leave you with a finished scan of the final piece. And if you like what you've seen, please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.